The Great Britain rowing squad are strong and fit, that much is obvious, and we'll be looking at physical training later on. But much of their success can be put down to their use and understanding of sports science. Sports science includes physiology, nutrition, psychology and physiotherapy. You may get a little out of breath rowing, but before we look at the essential business of getting fitter through dryland training, perhaps it's worth understanding exactly what rowing involves.
If you really want to prepare yourself physically for rowing, you could do a lot worse than find yourself a sports physiologist like Gordon Burton. Gordon, exactly what demands does rowing make on the body?
Well, rowing is probably one of the most physically demanding sports that you could choose, and there are four main areas really that will build into your performance. First of those is aerobic capacity, or endurance capacity as a lot of people call it. That will be the mainstay of your performance. Following that, you need a really good anaerobic power. That will help you off the start, help you to accelerate a boat, try and overtake some opposition. As well as that, we need really good strength. That's not only strength in the arms, as a lot of people think, but also to be able to press with the legs. 70% of the power in rowing comes from the legs. And also the strength deep within in the core of the body to hold the position and hold the connection between the power of those legs and actually getting some work near the water through the oar. Also, we need really good flexibility so that we can get ourselves into the positions for a good technical rowing stroke, as we've seen in the rest of the film.
I'm an amateur rower, I can't do this all the time. Maybe I get to the gym twice a week, so what sort of training should I be doing?
Okay, well obviously you'll be getting out on the water as well, but when you do go to the gym, because you've got a limited number of sessions, it's probably good to try and almost compromise the sessions and get both a strength development effect and also an endurance effect. So an endurance circuit using weights around the gym would be probably very useful for you, and to do that twice a week would be really good.
So if I'm on the machines, what sort of reps should I be doing?
You perhaps might do a minute of a weight that you can easily lift for, say, a minute and 10 seconds. So you might do a test around the gym. You could lift a weight for a minute and 10 seconds, and you'll set that as what you do for a minute, and you move on to the next exercise.
So what are the principles of land training?
If you talk about training, that is a key part for success, no question. But training means also not 24 hours a day, you know, and okay, more helps more. I think it has to be in the right balance of intensity training, endurance training, speed training, weight training. So I think that's quite an important part. So you can't go always flat out and sweating very much and okay, oh, I have done a good training. I think you have to balance the training very hard. And is important as well. Rest is an important part of the training. So I think it's not just training 5 hours in one go, but the rest in between those sessions is quite important, so the body can recover and can take the new workload again. So I think insofar training is the most crucial thing, and the most mistakes being made in training, I think. Yeah, you can kill a crew overnight if you do the wrong training.
Well, there's a lot more to land training than sitting for hours on an indoor rowing machine. During the autumn, you should work on developing overall stamina, suppleness and weightlifting technique. In the winter, the endurance work should be at a higher intensity and specific to rowing muscles. And strength training should be a mixture of both maximum and endurance. But it's pointless developing strength in the winter unless you work to maintain it during the summer speed period. So land training needs to encompass exercises which are specific to rowing and others which build general endurance. General endurance training includes running, cycling, swimming, aerobics and circuits. Here's an endurance circuit being run by Pete Shepherd, the chief coach of the ARA Great Britain Junior Squad. Each exercise, which typically lasts a minute, works a slightly different muscle group. But the main aim is to keep the heart rate within a range of 130 to 160 beats per minute. Over the winter, you'd build up to doing an hour of this sort of exercise as part of a planned program. This is the circuit Peter has made up, which exercises arms, legs and trunk.
Right, 30 squat jumps, right? Make sure we land on our feet before we go down on the next one. Don't just go straight down. Nice control going down onto when you squat down so you don't collapse. Okay, and then a big drive out as high as you can each time. Okay, ready? Go. Right, let's see, drive harder. Right out. Let's see how high you can get off the floor this time. Keep the back nice and strong, keep the body in a nice strong position. Right up each one. Just touch the bench, keep the shoulders on the bench. So just using those arms to draw through. Just think of it being like drawing the finish in the boat. Okay, good. Okay, right. Good control. Right, just drawing yourself up. Keep the legs nice and still. Hold for a fraction, then down again. Okay, and up. Hold. It's good. And down. Go. Right, push right up. Just try and drive. Once you start the drive, just push it a little quicker. That second half of the drive. So if you can push it a little quicker. That's it. Right, real push. And right up. Go. Good. Full range of motion. Right up with the arms. Right, so we make sure we use the muscles, the arm muscles over the full range. Okay, make sure we're breathing in between each repetition. Good. Let's go up a bit further. That's it. So we go, so as if we've got the whole body and legs straight. Good. Keep the control going down.
Make sure you obey the gym safety code, and one of the main points is that you should wear appropriate clothing, including trainers. To train the muscle group specific for rowing, the indoor rower is very useful, so long as you row technically well and maintain good posture. Don't row for more than 30 minutes without getting off and stretching. One of the most rowing specific exercises is the power clean. It can be used for both endurance and maximum strength training. The technique is much the same as the rowing stroke. You start by driving the legs, the back opens, and you finish off with the arms. The power clean must always be performed under the supervision of an appropriately qualified coach. After warming up, there are 4 positions to master, and remember, never do weights on your own. Start with the toes under the bar and the feet shoulder width and hands outside the knees. Pivot from your hips with the back flat and then bend down from the knees so your shoulders are above or slightly in front of the bar. Keep the eyes level, but try to avoid bringing the neck back quite as much as demonstrated here. Like being in a boat, the drive begins by a huge explosion from the legs. At this stage, nothing else moves. Keep driving from the toes as the bar passes the knees and shrug the shoulders. You can see this athlete has adopted the start position once again. There's a big explosion from the legs and the bar is kept close to the body with the elbows above the bar. As the bar comes up, whip the elbows away from you to catch the bar in front of the shoulders. Now check the elbows. They're held high and at 90 degrees from the bar. You can learn weightlifting technique at any age, but developing strength should only begin after you've reached physical maturity, and this varies from person to person. Remember that land training can take many forms, and if organised correctly, can be great fun.
They say you are what you eat, in which case many rowers, especially the younger variety, would be beef burgers on legs. Now, you don't put paraffin in a Ferrari, so if you do want to become a performance rower, you've got to watch what you put in the old petrol tank. We've got the ARA's nutrition expert on hand to first of all analyse what I bought here, then to tell us what foods you need to boost your performance.
That's £130.32, please.
Very reasonable. Jacqueline, Now, I've been shopping.
Right.
And I'm going to preempt you. I know a bit about this sort of stuff, and I've got the good and the bad. The bad, yeah. And, of course, much better stuff.
The good.
What do you think?
Well, I don't like the way you're saying good and bad. There's no such food as good food and bad food. There's things called good diets and bad diets, so I think we need to look at the balance.
So what do we need?
OK, well, let's think about what rowers need. What do rowers need? They need energy. And where are they going to get their energy from?
Carbohydrate.
Good.
I mean, that's why I have stuffed this bag full of pasta.
OK. Pasta's good, but you've got to think of other carbohydrates as well, such as bagels and bread, breakfast cereal, rice, couscous. That's all good stuff too. But it's not just about providing lots of energy. That is important, but you've got to think of the whole body. What else does a rower need?
Protein.
OK. All right, now here we've got some protein-rich food like chicken. Very good source of iron and very important for growing bodies. And what's this?
Veggies, which I have none of in here.
You have no vegetables, so I've provided you with some vegetables. So on that plate, you're going to put your pasta or your potatoes, as well as the meat such as chicken and the vegetables.
So, OK, now I have got this bag full of sweet stuff, so that's completely out, is it?
No, as I said, there's no such thing as good or bad. But these foods, like perhaps the donut, perhaps the Jaffa cakes, they could be quite useful in terms of providing extra carbohydrate from a sugary source, as long as you keep it in moderation. They're also quite useful for things, a choice of food to refuel. So after training, you could choose something like, some Jaffa cakes, or maybe malt loaf.
Got a malt loaf in here,
yeah, you've got a malt loaf, you've got bagel, you've got a milkshake, some cereal and milk.
Now, the way I refuel after training is with a bit of this. Now, is this going to ruin me as an athlete?
It will ruin you as an athlete if you have to train the next day or you have to recover quickly. It will also encourage you to put on weight, put on fat, which I don't think is what you want. Also, it's bad for hydration. It will dehydrate you. So wait until you're finished and then you can celebrate.
Well, it seems, folks, you won't get a chance to celebrate unless you eat properly. So it is true, you are what you eat.
Staying hydrated is crucial. If you're thirsty, it's already too late. You're dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, the blood thickens, the heart has to pump harder to deliver oxygen to the muscles, and the effect is dramatic. A 5% loss in fluid can lead to a 20% drop in performance. For the average adult, that 5% loss relates to about 6 cans of water. The fitter you are, the leaner your muscle and the more water you need. During an hour's hard exercise, you'll lose up to 4 pints of water. The most effective way to take on that liquid is a little and often.
Well, I think it's a really useful thing to look at psychology as you would physical fitness. Most people know how important it is to be physically fit to perform to their potential. The mind is exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, your mind and how you think controls what your body does. So it seems sensible to try and develop mental fitness as well as physical fitness. So we would say don't wait for your confidence to drop or something to go wrong with the way that you're thinking before you think, psychology's for me. Actually think ahead of time and say, right, how can I make my mind stronger? How can I make it fitter to endure the various things that I have to when I'm training and, more importantly, performing?
For many, the whole process of getting better and fitter is made easier by setting small, realistic goals as a way of chipping away at a bigger target.
I think one of the key good things about goal setting is that it's a really easy area where you can find out information very, very quickly. There's a lot of good self-help sports psychology books which have a lot of the basics about goal setting covered very effectively. So that's easy information to access. You don't need to have a sports psychologist with you to find out about that particular area. And then it's a case of a bit of trial and error to work out how that works best for you. So, and also with visualization, a lot of good advice in some general textbooks about, just exactly how to go about it. And the important thing with all of this is individualize it as quickly as possible. Find out what works for you with a bit of experimentation. Don't think just by thinking like Matthew Pinson, I'm going to be a world champion, because obviously you've got to have the physical base, the technical base, and also have worked out how your mind works for you in order for everything to fall into place. So individualise is critical.
Apart from fitness training, how else can psychology help you go faster?
One of the sort of key simple areas where psychology can really help is with athletes when they're developing their technique. There's an awful lot of information to try and take in when they're trying to very minutely change what they're doing. what can happen is you can be left with the thought of, okay, right, I mustn't do that at the catch, or I must really make sure that doesn't happen at the finish. In fact, that's not a very positive instruction for the mind. The mind is more interested in, well, what do you want me to do? What is the specific instruction that you do want me to focus on, and keep remembering, so that the new technical thoughts that I'm trying to work on really get ingrained into the computer program, if you like, that is running that new technique which you're trying to achieve. So if anything, people should be thinking about what they are wanting to try and achieve rather than avoid something bad happening. And that works very effectively for all areas of rowing as well.
Okay, we finished second in the heat, 6 crews in your race.
Where the role of positive
Racing side by
thinking is
side,
immediately
3 of you
influential
are
is
gonna
during
win
a
medals.
pre-race briefing
Your
and the
target
race
is to
itself.
be in that group.
The message the coach leaves
Race
with the
well so
crew
far,
determines
but we haven't
not only the
yet
race strategy
raced
but also
next
the
race
mood of the
today.
crew and the levels
That's
of
gonna come in
confidence and
this one,
self-belief
achieve your
of the
target.
team and the individuals.
Really good winter training behind you. You've got a very good endurance base. You've shown in your past races you can win from both leading from the front, but you've also shown, if you think back to the racing 2 weeks ago, that you were ahead, you got rowed through, but you came back strong.
So, what are the most important muscles for a rower to produce his power?
No, you won't catch me out here because it's not your arms, is it? It's legs.
Legs, yep, they're big and strong, but for me, it's about posture and core stability.
Core stability.
Don't ask me. The person you want to speak to is one of our international physios, Heidi.
Core stability is about being able to maintain a stable core or trunk. Because you're sitting on an unstable surface, like this ball, when you're in a boat, you need to be able to maintain a stable core or trunk to allow the legs to work efficiently. Equally, you need to be able to maintain a stable shoulder blade to allow the arms to hook on efficiently. We have several exercises which allows us to help with this.
To develop core stability, it's important to find what the physios refer to as your neutral spine, which is the mid-position between the back arching and being pressed into the floor. You can achieve neutral spine when lying on your back on the floor or by making a bridge with a ball. In order to maintain neutral spine during exercises, you need to use and to strengthen your trunk stabilizers. The correct way to stretch your hamstrings is to find and maintain neutral spine, move your thigh to 90 degrees, and then extend your lower leg. The aim here is to keep the weight evenly spread over your bottom whilst doing this side stretch. To do so, you have to use many of the muscle groups that stabilize your trunk and so improve your core stability. Whatever stretch you do, ensure that you find and maintain neutral spine and that you hold the stretch for at least 15 seconds. Remember the 5 S's? Well, yes, it's the combination of strength, stamina, suppleness, speed and skill that makes you go fast. But where do you get that extra ounce of performance that'll take you past your rivals? Well, perhaps you'll glean some inspiration from our experts.
It should be really fit, no question. It's going over 2,000 meters and needs a very fit athlete. Secondly, it has to have the skills technically to bring all the fitness over in speed, and I think the technique and so far becomes quite a crucial part. It's not just power, it's also the skills to deal with the environment you are in, like the boat and the water, to transfer your fitness in speed. And I think that's just not quite as easy, I think, and so far that is quite a crucial part, especially now in high performance sport.
Well, lots of different things. I mean, I think you need the God-given things like long arms and long legs help, a big heart, and then that's in both senses of the word. You need a really big pump for your blood because obviously the rowing's a very physical exercise. But on the other side of that, you also need the big heart in the sense of you need to be brave. You need to have
have mental toughness when it comes to racing.
Well, the technique is about limiting the negative numbers. We can all pull hard, or we can try and pull hard, but when it comes down to being on the water, it's about who can be efficient with that power, and the speed is a combination of the positives we can push ourselves, and the negatives we can try and get out and actually get the boat to do some work for us. So it's probably about 50% physical and a 50% technical.
There's a big difference between the ergo and the rain boat. There's a lot of technique involved and balance, especially in the single. Although from the ergo you can practice your technique and the rain stroke, there's a lot of technique involved in the rain boat.
What made James Cracknell a good rower? Well, as a youngster, he was, particularly in his sort of final 2 years as a junior, he was extremely determined, and he was prepared to do that little bit extra to make it happen. And he was determined to achieve the highest goals, basically.
I think the body-wise isn't so important. I think definitely, it's the mind which creates the rower. And mentally, there are a range of different personalities who are good rowers, but they all have, they're all very determined. I think you have to be very clear on what your goals are. And at the end of the day, I think you have to make, like any high-level sport, you have to be prepared to make sacrifices. I think, if you're prepared to make the sacrifice to achieve your goals, then anything's possible.
One of the unique features of rowing is that it involves a diverse range of boat types, singles through to eights. In a large crew boat like an 8, athletes are often placed in seats representing their individual attributes. The front of the boat moves around, so bow and two need to be technically very skillful. The most powerful athletes take up the middle positions, 3, 4 and 5. Athletes at 6 and 7 link the powerhouse to the person with the best rhythm, who leads the boat from the stroke seat. And the cox is coach, tactician and motivator. People of all sizes have a place in the boat. Tall people may seem to have a natural advantage, but only if they use their length effectively.
We are definitely completely different ends of the scale, completely different sizes. I'm very tall and Deb is slightly shorter. But when we were juniors, we did have to make a lot of compensations with boat and equipment, but now we row very, very similar arcs, and Debbie bizarrely rows extremely long, so I can't keep up with her.
You'd never dream of playing football in boots that were 2 sizes too small, so nor should you consider going out in a boat that was too small or badly rigged. It's important to try and get your boat correctly adjusted, so here are some tips. In singles, pairs, doubles and fours, you should aim to complete 2/3 of the stroke forward of the orthogonal, and that's where the looms are at 90 degrees to the boat, and 1/3 behind. If you can do this, then your stretch position is good. In sculling, make sure you can get 1 to 1.5 hand width space between the handles at the finish position. Move the stretcher position if the measurement is incorrect. If you've run out of adjustment on the foot stretcher to get the correct number of hand widths, measure your overlap at the orthogonal. If you can't reach past the forestay of the rigger at the catch, your overlap is probably too large. In boats that move faster, such as coxless quads and 8s, adjust your feet slightly further towards the stern so that more of the stroke is taken before the orthogonal. If you can get your shins vertical at the catch position and your legs flat at the finish position, your stretcher height and angle are correct. You can be strong, fit, skillful and a well-trained team. But if on race day you don't have a clear strategy covering all possibilities, you're going nowhere. So let's listen to ARA Great Britain Olympic coach Louise Kingsley preparing a club crew for a race.
To our race plan. We need to arrive on the start 5 minutes before our race time. As you come onto the start, back down, get yourself settled, make sure you're straight. Sit there, relax, deep breathing, cool, calm, collected. It's not about your opposition, it's about you. how you race and how you raise your game. Off the start, when we're out of the blocks, the first 4 strokes focus on finishes. So you send it, get the boat moving. Don't try and hit the catches, just place and send it. First 4, send, send. As we start to lengthen out, think catch, catch. As the catches lengthen, we want to get that boat increasing in speed. Every stroke, faster, 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 till we get out to full length. Through the 250, we're looking for consistency. Okay, every stroke, we've got our length, we're going to find consistency in our rhythm. So we hit into our racing rhythm, 1 stroke at a time. 1,000 metres, big push. Okay, this is where we know we're strong. So we're going to make our move 1,000 metres onwards. So at the 1,000, we're going to think sharp catches. So we're going to lock on where we reach, no slippage, in, and really attack for 10 strokes and then find that sharp rhythm.
So many things have to be taken into account. There's the weather, water conditions, the number of crews, and also the importance of the occasion. Your approach, for example, may be slightly different from a club regatta to, say, an Olympic final. Well, Matt Pinson has had experience of both.
The Olympics is obviously more pressure than anything else we do. So part of your tactics has got to take into account that. You're not going to try anything that you haven't tried before. It's very important that the bigger race you go, you don't suddenly lose the plot, you don't suddenly try and do something that you've never raced at before. And so very much you try and build in a plan that you've tried before, that you're used to, that you're comfortable, that hopefully you've won races with before.
And tactics may vary considerably depending on whether you're in a 2 or a 6-lane race.
Well, 6-lane racing, obviously there's lots more opposition to worry about. So you've got to cater for a lot more eventualities, I think. It's no good in 6-lane racing just saying, right, well, we think this boat next door to us is going to be the quickest, so we're going to hang on to them or we're going to try and race them. Because something might happen in an outside lane that you maybe haven't noticed. I think you need a more flexible plan when it comes to 6-lane racing, because the chances of something happening surprising from those 6 boats is very high. In a 6-lane race, there's probably 2 or 3 boats in there that aren't expecting to win, and that makes a different tactical race because they might start very fast, for instance. They might try and throw a spanner in the race plan of everyone else by just saying, right, well, we're just going to go for it. In 2-lane racing, I think it's a bit more predictable. It's certainly more psychological because it's match racing. Once the race is lost or won, the gaps tend to open up very quickly. There isn't really a silver medal to fight for, or of course not a bronze. It's winner takes all. So it's very important to cross the line first, and nothing else matters. But because of that, I think it makes it a bit more predictable. You have a fairer idea of what's going to happen. You perhaps know a little bit more about the opposition. You might spend a little bit more time assessing what they're going to do at different parts of the course. And so match racing, it can be a little bit more predictable, but no less fun for that.
Rowing is low impact and non-contact most of the time, so the risk of injury is far less than in many other sports. However, it does happen, and when it does, you have to deal with it both physically and psychologically. Let's hear from a currently crocked-dead cood on how to cope.
There are always pressures to carry on rowing when you're injured, because rowing is a crew sport, you do feel like you're letting down your crewmates and your coaches. But I think the most important thing initially about injuries is to give them a bit of respect and make sure you get your injury better before you can carry on rowing. So at the moment I have to say, sure, I'd love to be training, I would love to be racing here today, because that is why I row, is for the racing.
Seems, Matthew, that to win a gold medal, you've got to be so dedicated. There just can't be room for anything else in your life. How do you balance it?
Well, I'm getting married in October, so managed to find time to find someone to spend the rest of my life with. But rowing is a huge part of my life, but it's not all my life. And I think that's an important message as well. Is you shouldn't dedicate yourself just to one thing. however important it is, however good you might be, you know, there's definitely room, and it's important to have space around rowing, you know, for other things.
I think the important thing is that people don't over-focus at a young age of sort of 14 or 15, but look after the family side of it, the friends, the social side, the schooling, the academic qualifications that they have to achieve, and the other activities in their lives, like their rugby, their football, their netball, their music. Make sure that it's a healthy balance of all those activities.
Well, I've been at university for the last 2 years, so I've been doing a degree course there at Reading University. You know, we still get time in the evenings to go out with our friends, you know, get out for meals, cinema, whatever. Although, you know, it's obviously important that we get enough sleep and rest and recovery as well. There are times we have a day off that we can go and do things in. I'm quite active in our local church and at the university and the Christian Union, so we do have spare time. It's just a case of organising yourself so you can fit in the things that you want to do.
The important thing for a junior is that they develop their training over a period of years, that when they're sort of 13, 14, that they do sort of 2-3 sessions a week, and if they're aspiring to be sort of junior internationals, by the time they get to 17, 18, then they've got to be able to do sort of up to 10 sessions a week, but it needs to be done as in a progressive stage, you know, not all at once, and it's important that they have fun doing it, and that they make sure that it's a healthy balance of water training, developing skills, and making sure that, you know, with some land training that's mixed in with some land training, and that, you know, it comes you do a bit more as you get a bit older, and we want our youngsters in the sport for a long time, basically.
I mean, for me, it's the love of the sport. I mean, I've been involved for 16 years, and I just love rowing. The reason I do it isn't necessarily for the financial rewards. You're not going to be rich and famous necessarily, unless you become Steve Redgrave, and that takes 5 Olympic gold medals. But it's just the fact that you're going to go out on the river and you can enjoy your time there, or you can take it up to be more serious and go international. And it takes me around the world. I've got to go to South America, I've got to go to Africa, I've got to go all around Europe with my rowing, and it's fantastic. It's a great life, and yeah, it stops me getting a proper job.
The ultimate dream for any athlete is to win a gold medal at the Olympic Games. Rowing is arguably Britain's most successful sport. You can represent Great Britain at junior, under-23 or senior level by being selected at open trials. And the ARA World Class Start programme aims to find and develop outstanding new talent. For further information, check out the ARA website.
There's more to this rowing art than meets the eye. You've got to get your food right, you've got to get your land training right, you've got to get your technique right, and you've got to sort out your head. And only then you may end up with more than a face in the crowd.